I was wondering why everyone in the chat's going, come on, what's going on? What's going on? Right. Hello all again and welcome to episode 53 of the 3-for-1 Sky Fantasy podcast by Fantasy Football Hub. Sky Fantasy is back and so are we. However, we have been streaming to no one for the past 11 or 12 minutes. So very, very much apologies. Many apologies, gents, for making you all wait. Sorry, ladies and gents in the chat. I mean, obviously, we've been streaming for 11 minutes. We've been talking everything.
You know what? That's been the best content we've ever had out, them 11 minutes.
This is how you're going to win Sky. We gave all the secrets on how to win Sky, and I forgot to press go live. You can tell it's the first one back. One absolute plum. Anyway, Sky Fantasy is back for a brand new season of captaincy fails, missed deadlines, players not starting, and 89th minute clean sheet wipeouts. We absolutely love it. My name is Fergi, and I'm joined tonight by three of the most successful Sky managers in the game. Firstly, Paul McAnulty. Paul, again, every time I spoke with you over the summer, you were either up a mountain, you were drunk, or you were drunk up a mountain. What was going on with your summer, Paul?
I was just making use of the staycation. So did a bit of hill walking in Scotland, but also got to the 3 Euros games for Scotland as well. So managed to finish not pointless and not goalless. So I take those two positives out of that. Awesome,
mate. I bet you enjoyed the Euros final as well, Paul. Did you?
Yeah, I think the less I speak about that, the better, probably.
I have to tell everyone I'm sorry, but Paul sent Dan a photo earlier of Paul wearing an Italy shirt, which he was wearing. I'm assuming you were wearing it, Paul, kind of on the night of the final, were you? But no, awesome tournament. We also have former Sky winner Dan Cox with us. Dan, football nearly came home. Did you enjoy your summer break?
Yes, I did. England won the Euros on penalties. I watched it with my own eyes. I might have had a few beers, but I'm sure we won on pens 5-4. Saka scored the winner. Remember seeing Harry Kane lift the trophy. I'd had a few beers, but we won, and I won't be told otherwise.
Fair play. We can't. I mean, you can't argue with that, can you?
No, we'll have to disagree. But England won.
Dan's also been storing up rants all over the summer as well, which we can't wait to get over him later. He's got pages and pages of rants, which
just had to write a new one down, mate.
A new one down. Fergie, press live when we're going live, you absolute bellend. I think that's probably fair. We are also delighted to be joined by Fixture King and all-round good egg, Ian Parrin. Ian, we had a few drinks last night at the FPL meetup. How's the head?
Head's fine. It was a good night, wasn't it? Really enjoyed it.
Awesome. I can see clean sheet wipeout who I met last night as well. Was with us having a pint as well. It was a really, really fun night. I don't know if anyone can tell my voice is still a bit croaky from a long evening on the being a late night, but yeah, it was absolutely fantastic, really good fun. How's your summer, Ian? Did you enjoy the Euros?
Yeah, I did enjoy the Euros. My main event of the summer, though, normally the Test cricket doesn't even start till a week on Wednesday.
Oh, wow, okay.
First match against India. So we're discussing fantasy football before the cricket's even started.
That's absolutely bizarre.
Strange world
we live in. Absolutely. I've been trying to play a bit of golf unsuccessfully, but I've been trying. I've been on holidays, had a week in Cornwall, which was lovely, and I didn't play any fantasy football over the summer at all, which was absolutely amazing. Being able to watch, all those really amazing matches in all their glory without any fantasy kind of, impact, clean sheets gone, or, VAR, or, missed penalties or whatever else. It was absolutely fantastic, and I'm absolutely raring to go for the new Premier League season. For any new watchers and listeners, if we have any newbies among us, you are very, very welcome. If you haven't subscribed just yet, please press the subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, and set the alerts so you don't miss our live streams, which are 9 p.m. every Sunday evening right here on this channel. So I would guess we would roughly be every Sunday almost from now until the end of the season. We will be here. So make sure you join us, everyone. It's a lot of fun, and and these guys really know their stuff. Also, please press the like button if you enjoy our content. Any likes would be very, very much appreciated. If we have anyone with us, any brand new Sky players who've never played before, we have a how to play Sky Fantasy guide link in the description below, which you will find very useful. Just really breaks the game down, into how the game is played. As we are live, as we are eventually live, please feel free to join us in the chat at any time. Let us know your thoughts on the topics for the relevant sections, and feel free to ask some questions throughout. My goodness, the lobby is absolutely ram out. It is great to have you all with us. I'm not going to be able to get through everyone, but welcome Zvonimir, Sam Cole, Auto Reclose, Hornet, Calvin Guest. Hornet says, and it's live. It is indeed. Phil McMahon, Guy Wilcox, Owen Jones, James Thorner, Tom Harlow, Mark Daniels, Mark Williamson, Wilso Wynn, FPL Badger, Ben McCrum, Michael Chappell. I could go on and on and on. It's absolutely fantastic to have you all with us again for the new season. Sam Guy says, "Big up Cornwall, Ferg." Yeah, I put some in on Twitter last week, and a couple of guys responded saying that they've been on holiday there and they lived there. Absolutely amazing place. But back home now, back up in the attic, talking fantasy football. So this evening is the first of 3 pre-season podcasts we're going to do for you this season. For this first one, we're going to primarily focus on fixtures with Ian, which is his forte. Dan is going to give us a brief lowdown on ones to look out for from the newly promoted teams. Paul has some thoughts on some budget defensive options. We have lots and lots of questions to get through. We have the new free £500 mini league code to share with Hub members, and we'll finish as usual with Dan's reams of rants we've got this week. Just to our plan for next week, we have an absolute treat for you next week with Mark Edworthy guesting. So he's the founder of the original and the one and only Sky podcast for many, many years. Most will know him, but if you don't know him, Mark really knows his stuff. He's a great chap as well. We will be looking mainly at players and budget gems with Mark. And then in the final pre-season podcast of the season, we will be joined by the now former Sky champion, Liam Dorian. I think Liam's in the chat to look at our final draft to make all those all-important final tweaks to our teams as the deadline approaches. As usual, Fantasy Football Hub has got you completely covered for everything Sky Fantasy Football. Tom Glover says, Fergie had a great time in Cornwall. He puts the jam on first. If you don't like it, get off the cream. Absolutely, Tom. I absolutely love that. I think it's Tom actually. He puts loads of stuff on Twitter about that quote. Absolutely superb. Stiggy82 says, one of the very best tournaments I've ever seen, lads. The Euros, outstanding. Indeed it was. And Hornet says, looking forward to hearing how many transfers left by Boxing Day. Ian, is 38 enough? I'm sure we'll get to that later. So to start off, fellas, the game was launched. Paul, can I ask you first what your initial thoughts are? Just on the game, this season.
Yeah, I think the players have been underpriced.
You're speaking to your mic a bit, Paul. Sorry, Ben.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I think players have been underpriced. I think there've also been a few positional changes, a few more midfielders moving into striker slots. I felt like it was to a detriment of the game before when they moved Sterling, Mane into the striking positions. Now they've done the same with Antonio and Zaha. I just think it makes the midfield a bit more barren and easier for a template to form, which is a little bit disappointing. But other than that, I'm glad that they've kept all the rules the same, formations the same, etc. Because those are the kind of reasons why we love playing the Sky game anyway. Yeah,
I think they changed software providers, didn't they, over the summer? I think there was rumours of huge kind of overhauls of changes. Excuse the pun, but glad that everything looks to be the same as you say. It's the game we know and love. Ian, what are your thoughts? Your initial thoughts on the game this season?
Yeah, same as Paul again. It seems to be every year recently. Anyway, everybody's underpriced. Yeah. I had a go on the transfer planner and just made a team without knowing any of the prices on there. And when I got to my 11th player that I wanted, put them in, it was bang on 100 million.
Wow.
Didn't even need a cheap enabler to make it.
That's unbelievable. If you did that a few years ago, you'd probably get to about 110 or 112 million, wouldn't you? So
Yeah, you would.
Got an easy-ish team for 100 million, is going to be interesting. And what do you think, Dan? What are your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, same as the boys. So I think they're a bit cheaper. I said before, when I pick the team, sometimes you had to find like the 6 million defender, Callum Patterson or someone like that, just so you could get everyone in who you wanted. But I normally I'll make a short list of players, because I don't like to make the team, just like to have a short list that I'll keep refining and trimming down, whatever. And I thought, well, I will just make a team just to see what I can do. And I didn't have to go anywhere near any of these sort of 6 mil players to make the team. So I was quite pleased. So, I think it's like that. I just don't know. I don't know if they're dumbing it down or what. I know with the Sun they do that, don't they? They make it easy to pick a team
because it easy, because you get more casuals then, don't you?
Yeah, that's it, sort of thing. So, but no, I was really pleased there was no changes, because you're always worried what they're going to do, if they're going to try to make it like FPL or bring in price changes, or I don't know. I just don't know. I just wanted to stay as it is. Plus, I'd already pre-written the sort of pre-season guide, so if they'd have changed all the rules, I'd have to rip that in the bin and start again. So yeah, I'm pleased to stay as it is for this season at least. So happy days. Looking forward to get going.
I've had to do that for in the Telegraph game, because they've introduced some bonus points at Telegraph. So my how to play Telegraph guide needs some updating this week, because obviously the dynamic will change with some bonus points. There's plenty of chat around whether you have the jam or cream first on your scone. Quick thought on that, Dan. Do you have the jam on top or on the bottom?
Hang on. Cream. I think cream and then jam.
Cream then jam.
Yeah.
Ian?
Gone.
It doesn't matter which way you put it on. If you like it the other way, just turn it upside down.
Perfect. There we go. Ian's always got a solution. He's always got a solution. And Paul, how about you?
Do you have scones up there?
Cream then jam. Yeah, they do have them in Scotland.
Cream then. I think I'm cream then jam as well. But I think
jam and deep fried.
I think jam. I think jam then cream is quite popular. But anyway, yes. Here we go. Yeah, just to add my kind of initial views. I think the same. I think there's plenty of value to be had in defence and in attack. I think that third striker slot looks really easy to fill this week. They put Tony in at like 7.9, Pookie's 7.7, and some other ones as well. There's some really, really cheap strikers, even Bamford and all this are still, kind of like that 9 million mark. So I think, the three up front is a thing of the past. Those kind of three premium strikers, that Aguero, Salah, Kane sort of thing that we've seen before, is probably a thing of the past. I would think, but kind of my initial thoughts. Okay, so let's move on then to Ian. So Ian has done us some fixture slides. I've started off, Ian. So I've got the easiest attacking fixtures from game week 1 to game week 3. So just for those who don't know. So the overhaul is going to be after game week 3. So for these 3 preseason pods, we will primarily be focusing, just on these opening 3 game weeks, kind of rather than the whole season. Ian, take it away.
Okay, so from the Hub's fixture ticker, we've got the first 3 weeks only. And interesting to note, attacking wise, at the top, you've got Aston Villa, West Ham, Newcastle and Brighton, who ordinarily you wouldn't think would have the best players that you'd want in your Sky team. And then we come to Manchester City, Manchester United, Leicester, Liverpool, who you would probably think would be players that you do want in your team. And then following underneath that, we have Everton, Burnley, Wolves, Spurs, Watford, Brentford, Leeds, Southampton, Chelsea, Palace, Norwich, and bringing up the rear is Arsenal. So first looks at that, you've got good players that are reasonably cheap that you can put in from Villa, West Ham, Newcastle and Brighton if you so desire, with a sprinkling of the Stardust players from City, United, Leicester and Liverpool. And that should do you nicely for coverage for the top 8 out of 20 of the attacking teams.
What are your thoughts, Ian? In terms of Villa, West Ham, maybe Newcastle and Brighton. Have you got any kind of attacking players in thoughts for your drafts at the moment? Or
I've definitely got a West Ham player, mainly for the captaincy. I've got a Villa player as well, mainly for budget.
Yeah.
I haven't got Newcastle or Brighton in attack because you can't fit them all in. You've only got 6 attacking players in what I think is the best formation for the first 3 weeks up to overhaul.
Yeah. Okay. So Villa and West. I think is Antonio. He's still quite cheap, and he's like 8.8 striker. I think that's really, really cheap. And how much is Watkins? He's like early 9, maybe 9.6.
9
point something, isn't it? Yeah.
Something. Yeah. And there's definitely a few kind of options there in those fixtures you say are really nice, especially Villa's.
Your mate Callum Wilson's 8.7 as well, Fergi.
He's 8.7. There we go. He could be.
Watkins is 9.2.
Yeah, Watkins
9.2. Yeah. As I say, that third striker spot is just ideal for the captaincy for these sort of games as well, isn't they? So what about defences, then, Ian? Moving on to defences.
Okay, so defence again. We've got Aston Villa, Brighton, West Ham at the top. Again, sides who you would expect to get reasonably cheap players from. And then you move into Tottenham, Liverpool, Newcastle, Manchester City, Leicester and Manchester United, who are going to have the better players, especially for the defensive passing bonus teams. Yeah. Liverpool, City, United, Leicester at times. And then a bit further down, you've got Brentford, Burnley, Everton, Palace, Chelsea, Watford, Leeds, Wolves, Southampton, Norwich and Arsenal. So there's some there that you would probably look at the fixture and think, I don't really want any of their players at all. Certainly for the first 3 weeks, they might be good players. Yeah. But the one that stands out for me that is a good side, but is low down on both defence and attack is Chelsea.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think early doors for sure, yeah, I think you're right, New.
And then you look at the ownership stats of some of these players already, and Chelsea have got more than most.
Wow, okay.
What do you think, guys, for the looking at the cheaper options? Villa, Brighton and West Ham, maybe one of each, do you think?
Yeah, it almost makes Lewis Dunk like a shoe-in for most people's teams because of the passing bonus and attack potential, I think, at 8.2. I think he should have been priced higher by Sky anyway, but I can see I think his ownership was only 8%, 7 or 8% when I looked earlier on today.
Wow.
I expected that to be higher, and I still think it will grow quite significantly.
Yeah. What about Sanchez or Martinez? No, Sanchez is 6.5 when the other Martinez is a little bit more. Any kind of, are you guys veering either way at the moment on either of those two, or?
I think you can go either way. You can either go for Martinez and a Brighton defender, or you can go for Sanchez and a Villa defender. Yeah. My team, or a version of my team that I've come up with, has got Martinez and a Brighton defender in it.
Okay, cool. How about you, Dan? Have you got are you looking at those for your defence?
Yeah, Martinez was just a beast when he last season. Like the amount of save points, and he was just unbelievable when he. So yeah, why not again? Dunk, if I just owned him towards the end of the season, I'd have done all right. But can't argue with either of those really. And yeah, Dunk is a bit cheaper. My only worry would be with White going to Arsenal. How's that going to affect Brighton? But probably be all right.
I think Paul would say it'd be all right, wouldn't he? Because he was bloody useless for you last season, wasn't he, Paul? Apart from the one captaincy game, I think. But
I make a joke of it. He actually wasn't. He's certainly not in my never again list of other players that fit into there. He did cover me that captaincy. And
Ryan in the chat makes a really good shout that Webster for Brighton, 7 million could be a really.
You'll see Webster in a minute.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. Sam Guy says Martinez in the stinks, Dunk, Fofana and Trent for me with one more maybe. And Mark Daniels, Dunk, Diaz, Robbo, AWB and Martinez. That is an expensive defence there. But again, this is what the game is kind of letting us do this season, isn't it? So, but yeah, interesting stuff there. I think Spurs defence. I think it's going to be hard to even know who's gonna start now. Under Nuno.
I was having this discussion yesterday with a few different people at the meetup. Do we think that the only real gauge is the team's last pre-season friendly is going to be like the team they want to start in the first matches?
I think it's hard. It's hard with Nuno now as the manager, because he used to flit as well, didn't he? Between like a 3-5-2 and a 4-4-2, depending on opponents. He'd play a few games one, a few with another. I think it's going to be quite difficult to know who's going to play. And Aurier, he played right back or right wing back for most of the season. But obviously, Nuno has history with Doherty as well. And a Reguilon, if they play like a 4-4-2, he's probably not really much value, is it? If they play that 5 at the back, he could be really good. I think I personally think Spurs a bit of a wait and see, especially as the first game week they're away to Man City, so there's no point kind of lunging in on Spurs defenders anyway. But it'd be interesting to see how they go. Liverpool defence is interesting. So I was reading some things today to say that there's doubts that Van Dijk may start the season, and obviously Trent and Robertson are going to be very, very popular, because they're just winning the game. But it sounds like Matip and their new signing Konata maybe their defensive pairing, and they're priced reasonably well. But obviously it's a brand new centre back pairing as well, which might have may dent the appeal of the full backs as well. Dan, what are your thoughts on starting with Liverpool at the start of the season, pre-overhaul?
So they got Norwich first game, so won't win that. I don't know. I know when you see Van Dijk probably won't start, you think, oh yeah, that Konate is his name, and Matip, oh god, he's just injury prone and he probably won't make 3 games.
Injury prone, isn't he? You're right.
But I think, oh yeah, so you could get into Liverpool defence cheap, which you can. But then is Van Dijk coming back second game or whatever? If you pick one of them, you'd probably think Matic would drop out or get injured, wouldn't you? I just don't know. And I don't know. Are Liverpool going to be back to the best again this season? Because it was only like the last sort of 10 games or so, second half of last season that they were getting back to the sales, because I think they're pretty average at the first half of the season. So it's an option. They're playing Chelsea as well, though, aren't they? I think
in the third game, yeah.
Yeah, in the third week, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. A couple of clean sheets. Honestly, don't know. Yeah, it's an option, but it's a risk as well, because Van Dijk could come back in second game, and if you've got Matic, he could be out. Or I don't know I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
What odds do you think it is for a team at the top of the defensive ticker to get 2 or 3 clean sheets?
Still think it'd be kind of reasonably low, I would guess, especially because it's Villa and Brighton. If City and Chelsea had barnstorm in first fixtures, probably much higher. But Villa and Brighton.
I had a look for Villa. It's going to be about 6.5 to 1 for 2 out of 3 clean sheets.
Wow, that is low, isn't it? Blimey.
3 clean sheets, something like 18 to 1.
Wow, yeah, it's worth. So
unlikely.
Yeah, indeed, interesting. But very interesting points there, because I was looking earlier, at some maybe value players in defence. But to your point as well, is it worth kind of going, of going, especially if you remember the start of last season with all the goals that were flying everywhere, the defence has just got absolutely smashed, didn't they? Paul, what are your kind of initial thoughts on a pre-overhaul defence?
Yeah, I like picking up the players that will pick up bonus for tackling and passing as well. So the Liverpool fullbacks Robertson and Trent tend to pick up the odd tackling bonus, the odd passing bonus as well. Brighton were good for bonus last season for passing in particular.
Yeah.
Centre halves, see Webster and Dunk picking up passing, whereas I can't see as many bonus points for Villa and West Ham. Okay. Maybe Kufal on the tackles side and same with Matty Cash, but that's probably why my preference lies with Brighton over those two from the sort of mid-level teams.
Okay, and Tom Hartnell says at the start of the season it tends to be a bit more open, whereas Stiggy82 says fans back in the stadium, I wouldn't expect loads of goals early doors. It's so hard to, there's just no right answer. Guesty says I've got Kufal in the draft team. I think he looks a good option as well.
On that point with fans back, Andrew, Are you expecting more home wins again this season? Do you think it'll return to type?
No, I don't think that there will be. I think there'll be I personally think there'll be like a new type. Almost this cliche of like a new normal, and we don't know kind of what it is yet. I don't think we can underestimate the impact that the last year has had. On the footballers as people. As well as players and performances. I don't just think it'll go back to the season before last in terms of how things were. I think we're set for a new normal, but I don't know what that kind of is. A lot of these lads are very young, right? Early 20s and stuff. And they'll have gone through things in their own lives as well. As we all have over the last year or 18 months. Really kind of hard times and tough stuff. So I don't expect it just to go back to how it was personally. But I think the pre-overhaul will be a really nice, and I suppose that is one advantage of having an early overhaul, is that you get a bit of a sighter of how things are playing out, and then you get to completely switch your team early doors. So I do think that is one benefit this season of of an early overhaul.
And we might look at that ticker in 3 weeks' time and think, well, that was definitely wrong anyway.
Exactly.
When we look at last year's, who thought West Ham were going to be near the top?
Absolutely.
Or Villa.
I completely agree. I completely agree. And there's always a surprise package, and there's normally always a really top team who starts really poorly. Man City last season, for example, and there's normally always a new league, like maybe Brentford or even Norwich or Watford get off to a flyer. I kind of expect there's always something early. So yeah, I think just stay with the pack. Pre-overhaul is probably the safe play personally.
Well, you say stay with the pack. How many people do you think are over 5% owned in the game?
Oof, good question. I don't know. Go on.
Oh, I do. I had a look. 65 only.
Wow.
And how many are over 10%?
20, 25?
32.
Wow. That's not a lot.
It's not very many, is it?
No, it's not.
So it's already a low player pool at this stage of the season, and we're still a fortnight away from kicking off.
There we have it. Okay, so moving on now then, Ian, we have got your graphic up from your fixture planner from day one all the way through. Do you want to talk us through it?
So this is for, the old hat for previous Sky players, but something that's new for new Sky players is we've looked at the fixtures, but with Sky, you need to look at what day they're played on as well.
Yeah.
Because you get a captaincy change every single day. So first fixture day in the top left-hand corner is fixture day 1, and it's Brentford v Arsenal. And we're going to see the lineup. So you're going to want a Brentford or an Arsenal player as a captain in your team.
Do you think a skip is an option if you really don't fancy either team?
If you don't fancy either team, I'd still pick one, because there's only 3 game weeks.
Yeah, I agree with
and
that.
Picking a captain in one match is going to get you like a 4th game for that particular player.
Yeah.
And if he does well in that one game, say he scores a goal and you double up the 6 points to 12, doesn't really matter what he does for the other 2 games. You've got 12 points in the bank already.
Yeah. You don't want to be starting the second game of the season kind of 20 points behind the pack, do you? I personally think. But Dan, have you got any thoughts on that? Is a skip of that opening game an option at all, or do you think just do it, just go with Tony or Ben White or whoever it is we may think?
It's an option because if it's 1-1 and you've lost out on 4 points or so, then that's not really a big miss. But I don't know, Arsenal. Then who do they play after the Brentford? Is it Liverpool? And let me get it up. Hang on.
Yeah, Arsenal play
Chelsea, then Man City.
Yeah, Chelsea and then Man City.
So I can't. Do you want an Arsenal player against those two? Brentford's, they're not bad, are they? They ain't bad fixtures. Yeah, so Tony probably ain't a bad shout. Tony's already in nearly 20% of teams, I think. So if he does get a goal, you're going to be behind nearly a fifth of the teams. Probably be in more come the game. I don't know. It's all you can all say on hindsight, couldn't you? If the game finishes 1-1, you're like, could have just missed out on that. But now I say, if you've got You might think, oh yeah, I'll have an Arsenal defender like a Rob Holding. I'll get 20 points out of that if it's nil, like they keep a clean sheet. Is that enough if they're then going to get no points in the next two? Or I don't know. You've got to sort of weigh everything up. There is plenty of options, but I don't know. I probably think you should have someone.
He's probably the kind of player as well, in Tony, that if he does score, he'll very, very likely get man of the match because it'll be, new, brand new, scored 30 goals last season. Is this the new superstar? He's bound to get something, whereas if, someone scores for Arsenal in kind of a 1-1, I think they would go for Tony personally. Any thoughts, Paul, in that game? Do you just think just go with the highest owned option, or?
Yeah, not that that's the way that I play the game anyway, but I'd say, I don't really want Tony in my team, but I think with that game it almost forces me to have him.
Yeah. Ryan in the chat, excuse my pronunciation if I get this wrong, Buemo, Brentford option, a midfielder in the game, but generally plays off Tony. I've read a bit about him. He looks a really good player as well. Apologies if I just said his name completely wrong, by the way. Moving on, Ian, on to Saturday the 14th.
Okay, so Saturday, early game, we see the lineups, Man United v Leeds. Then we've got back to the 3 o'clock Saturdays predominance. So Burnley, Brighton, Chelsea, Palace, Everton, Southampton, Leicester, Wolves, Watford, Villa. And then the evening game on Sky is Norwich v Liverpool. So I think the standout captain there is probably Salah. If you want to be certain of somebody playing, you can pick Bruno or somebody else from Manchester United.
Yeah. Just say, Glenn said, Aubameyang for the Friday night, 1 match punt, move on. And Tom Hartle says it's all set up for us to all have Tony. He'll miss a pen and get sent off for nutting Ben White. Just the way it goes in fantasy.
At least we'll all be in the same boat.
In the same boat. Bruno against Leeds is probably the other captaincy option then, maybe. Yep. And if
and you get to see that he's playing as well, don't you?
You do. You get that as well. Sunday the 15th.
So Sunday, just the 2 games. Early game, Newcastle v West Ham. Late game, Tottenham v Man City. So plenty of options there. But I have a sneaky feeling that I'll be picking my West Ham attacker as the captain that day, because I really won't know what team Pep's going to pick for his
I agree.
His game. You could pick a defender that you think is going to play like Diaz, but if Tottenham score, then you're on a maximum of 10, aren't you? Even if he gets a passing bonus, which you think he will.
Well, it sounds as if Kane is definitely going to miss that opening match through his Euro exertions.
Whether it's at Tottenham or anywhere else.
Exactly. So whether he's at Spurs or Man City, it sounds like it's going to be the following week before Kane is going to be a kind of option for us there anyway, isn't he? I'm just having a look.
Are we thinking that's the same for all of the England players then?
I think each.
I can't imagine Kane's like the only one that's going to be in that boat.
No, but I think it's kind of a bit of a cover up for a transfer as well. I think personally, because they're playing against Man City as well.
There was talk about Shaw as well, not
Shaw, yeah.
Season for Man United.
Yeah, he's highly owned as well at the minute. Yeah, he played one of the matches with broken ribs, didn't he?
Yeah.
Shaw's in the top 5 owned currently in Sky.
Yeah, but he's again, he's one of those you can probably make a draft with him in. If hopefully he'll start, and if you get the news he doesn't, you can just have a backup plan, can't you, for someone else? Glenn says, just say Antonio, Ian, as your West Ham. I think you said West Ham attacker twice, and just say Antonio, Ian. He said
it will be Antonio. You'll get to see what I'm going to do, or the partial plan anyway. So then game week 2, fixture day 4, starting on the Saturday, early game, Liverpool v Burnley. So you get to see the lineup. And that's Liverpool's first game at home with a reasonably sized crowd for a while. So I think Salah will be popular that day. 3 o'clock, Villa v Newcastle, Palace v Brentford, Leeds v Everton, and Manchester City v Norwich. And then the evening game, Brighton v Watford. So I think a City player would be probably the best captain that day, but how on earth are you going to know the right one to pick?
No, you're not. And even if Kane signs in that week or whatever and he's sorted, you're still not sure because of his as you say, his European exertions and just pep roulette anyway. He may decide to bring him off the bench on his debut or whatever else. So probably Salah home to Burnley is probably the safer.
Yeah, I think Salah at home to Burnley. Yeah. So then fixture day 5 on the Sunday, 2 2:00 games: Southampton v Manchester United, Wolves v Tottenham, and then the afternoon game, prime time, is Arsenal v Chelsea. So I think probably 2 options there: Kane if he's still at Tottenham, or Bruno if he's not. And you'll get to know either way because they're both 2:00 starts.
So we've mentioned Bruno a couple of times now. Obviously home to Leeds the previous weekend. Paul, what do you think on Bruno? Do you think he's just a shoe-in for a pre-overhaul team based on the good fixtures, or do you think I think I saw earlier he's about, is he 44% owned? I think I saw that.
Just with the lack of premium midfielders, I think it almost makes him a default auto pick for me.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, like I said before, back in the day when you had lots of premiums in midfield, and you had, on top of your premiums, you had those that had been moved to striker as well. So you had Mane as a midfielder, Salah as a midfielder, Sterling as a midfielder. Around the same time, you had Hazard. Still, you had De Bruyne as well. And you had all of these players to pick from, like, that made it difficult with there being kind of 2 premium midfielders.
Yeah, I agree.
And Bruno and KDB. It almost makes Bruno an auto pick for me on that basis.
Awesome. What do you think on Bruno, Dan? Is he just in your team regardless?
Yeah, I think so. With them captaincy options, and yeah, just because he's good, he is, like you said, in 44% of teams. I don't like to risk things that much, especially early on.
Cool. Okay then, Monday the 23rd, and Ian, you'll be captain Antonio.
Yes, probably. West Ham v Leicester, Monday night football, first game, fixture day 6. And my plan is to have 2 options there: one West Ham, one Leicester, just in case something happens to one of them.
Yeah, it's good
in the first week.
Yeah. Leicester player, we haven't really mentioned Leicester yet. We had some shouts in the chat. I think Ndidi, 7.5 million. I did have a look earlier. Ndidi, actually, he scored 117 points last season, but he did miss a quarter of the season at the start as well. So I think Ndidi is 7.5. He's one of those. It's probably more of a post-overhaul pick. Just in that kind of Højbjerg or Romeo sort of mold. Just a put in and forget. But anyone else for Leicester excite you? Dan, have you got any eyes on any Leicester players at the moment?
No, I'd gone for West Ham. I just I don't forgive and don't forget. But I remember, I went on Leicester at the end of last season. Do you know what I mean? And they just kept letting goals in to let me down and stuff like that. I had Fofana, and I just don't know. He'd get taken off and stuff like that. So no, I'm just going to go with Antonio. He scored a couple of goals yesterday, I think, and
he did. Yeah.
Been in good form. He's got the number 9 shirt, so yeah, I think it'll be him.
Paul, any Leicester players?
Like a lot of people talk about Iheanacho, but I just think with Harvey Barnes being fit again, that they might revert to, and they've signed Daka as well, so they might revert back to a sort of front 3 as opposed to the front 2 that they had at the end of last season. And I don't expect rather Vardy to play in every game this season, so there will be games where he plays up front on his own, but I just wouldn't want to take the risk, as Ian pointed out. It's the second game in, it's the last game in that set of games, so I wouldn't want to be risking doing a transfer there. The 2 centre halves are going to play with Evans, Soyuncu. I actually don't. If they do revert to the 3 up front, does that mean they play 4 at the back, and where does Fofana fit in? Then does he play over Evans or not? So again, it's another thing to ponder.
We should give a bit of a steer beforehand, shouldn't we? Really, at least formation-wise.
Yeah, and
they're not going to play 4 different formations in 4 pre-season games, are they?
They've got 5 fullbacks now as well, like Castagna, Pereira, they just signed Bertrand.
Yeah.
If he's going to play, then
Thomas, he
younger
finished the
Thomas,
season well as well, didn't he?
And James Justin when he comes back as well. So,
wow, they
get
5 good fullbacks in there. Wow.
Yeah, I just don't know that I would be wanting to take a punt on someone. So I think like Tielemans or Ndidi, if I was going down a Leicester player, would probably be one of those two.
I saw with Tielemans, he scored 180 odd, like 183 or something points last season. It was quite surprising. I know he did take a few penalties, didn't he, when Vardy was off the pitch and stuff. So it's maybe a bit inflated, but he is. Yeah, he is. Okay, Ian, moving on. Match day 7.
Yeah, fixture day 7 on the Saturday. Early game, Manchester City v Arsenal.
Wow, that's going to be hard not to bring in a City attacker there, isn't it?
I don't think you'd be bringing one in per se because it's the first match of the game week. You're not going to get any advantage, are you?
I still think it'd be hard. I think if Kane starts for City against Arsenal and you get to see the starting lineup, I think it's going to be very, very difficult not to put him in, especially if Arsenal concede a couple against Brentford. But that's just my thought, or maybe it's my kind of excitement. Revving up ahead of time of seeing the lineup and thinking, oh my goodness, look at that team. But Kane, Sterling, Foden,
I think a City player is probably a decent shout if you've got one.
Yeah. But
bringing one in, not so sure on that.
Okay, fair enough.
So the 3 o'clocks: Villa v Brentford, Brighton v Everton, Newcastle v Southampton, Norwich v Leicester, West Ham v Palace, and then the evening game is Liverpool v Chelsea. So I think out of all of the days, that's probably the trickiest captaincy.
Yeah, agree.
So you might be as well going for the City player you've got. I mean, City normally beat Arsenal 2-0, don't they? If I remember right, 2-0, 3-0 is a pretty default score.
Yeah. I think it's.
So you could have Diaz there, could be a 10-point, 20-point as captain.
Have any of you guys got a Man City player at the moment, in your drafts? I've gone for, I haven't put a lot, of thought into, but I have got Diaz in mind. So I did see that Stones was 9.2, which seems remarkably cheap. If he plays every game. Paul, have you got any City players at the moment in your draft?
I don't have any at the moment, but if I was, I think it'd probably be Diaz.
Ian, how about you?
Yeah, I've got Diaz at the minute. My default starting position for most of my plan is to get the most expensive player in each position and then work from there.
Yeah. Dan, how about you?
No, but might be looking at De Bruyne. He sort of finished the Euros early, didn't he? So I can't see why he wouldn't start the season.
Yeah. That's a good shout. And moving on, Ian.
So then the last day before the overhaul, fixture day 8 on the Sunday, because obviously it's international break, so there's no Monday games. Burnley v Leeds and Tottenham v Watford are the 2 o'clock starts. And then the last game is Wolves versus Manchester United. So the standouts there, I think, is Kane if he's still at Tottenham, or again Bruno if Kane isn't at Tottenham. So
Salah will have played twice, wouldn't he? As well by this.
Salah will have played 3 times by then.
Always play all these games. Yeah, you're right. Apologies. Yeah, what we were mentioning earlier around, a Salah to Kane move, Ian, kind of in the middle of this. So
yeah, Salah to Kane move on the fixture day 5 on the Sunday.
Sunday 22nd. Yeah.
Yes. Salah's had his games against Norwich and Burnley, both as captain. Then move him out for, assuming Harry Kane's at Tottenham, for the Tottenham games, captain at Wolves and home to Watford. And then you're only missing Salah v Chelsea.
And you get to see that lineup as well. Importantly, doing that Spurs line to see, to see if he does play. Billy Anderson says, what about Mahrez? And Stiggy says Edison as well is probably a nice show. I do agree there. I do think on the keepers that because it's only like a 1.3 or 1.4 million difference between the premium keepers and then your kind of Martinez's and Sanchez's, and Mesley's and stuff, I do think that having a premium keeper could be, a really good shout. Billy asks about Mahrez. So my personal thoughts, he's probably a decent option in FPL because he'll probably either play or he won't. And if he doesn't play, then you got your kind of bench player coming in. But you don't want to be forking out all that money in Sky for him to only play one or even two of the three, do you? And if you're bringing him specifically for like a captaincy game and he doesn't play, then you're screwed, aren't you? Has anyone had any Mahrez's in any drafts at the moment, or is it a no at the moment?
That's a swerve for me. That is.
Yeah.
It's only you only get one Man City lineup.
Yeah, and it's the last one.
That would be the reason why I wouldn't be tempted to go with him.
Zvonimir does make a really good point. He says people looking too deep into City's fixtures in both Sky and FPL, they'll win all three easily, which I do agree with.
That's probably true.
It is, but it's who.
But you don't know who's going to get the points for them.
Get the points. This is the thing. They've got so many attacking options, and if Kane does sign, that'll mean will they push? I think the Jesus at times has played out kind of wide on the right, and Torres is going to want to have minutes and things as well. I personally think he's not going to play his strongest starting 11 game on game and keep players like Foden and Torres and Jesus and Fernandinho just on the bench all the time. I do think they may rotate a bit, but that's just my thoughts. I'm moving on, Ian, to then your next slide, which is your calendar.
Okay, so this is the calendar, the condensed calendar off the fixture planner on the hub, and this just shows all of the fixture days in order with all of the teams color coded against who they're playing. Really useful part of the tool, so you can just look at it in one snapshot rather than moving across the plan left, right, and centre.
Awesome.
Tend to use this as often as anything else on there, to be honest.
Absolutely, it's what I use for everything. All this sort of stuff. It's just a really easy visual sort of thing. So if anyone doesn't know, Ian Parrin's plan, you've got to be a hub member to access Ian's planner. But I'm sure that plenty of people watching and listening use Ian's planner, and it is just an absolute gift for anyone playing Sky. You can plan out your every move, and all the former Sky champs have used Ian's planner. Just a question on KDB. Actually, I didn't think much of KDB. Sam Guy asks, you think if KDB makes it through pre-season, he'll start all three? Think he could go nuts if he does. That's not a bad shout. I think he's quite expensive. And if you go Bruno, I think it's quite difficult maybe to go Bruno and KDB. To Dan first, what are your thoughts on De Bruyne?
Yeah, I like him. I think not really heard all the. What I'm trying to say, all the teams I've seen flying about on Twitter, I ain't seen him in any, so that makes me think, oh yeah, I'll have a bit of him. Especially, you captain him in those games, and if he does what he can do, a 20-pointer, you're laughing.
You might be surprised by how many teams he's in, actually.
Ian's froze.
We lost Ian a second. He was staggered at De Bruyne's ownership. Paul, while we're waiting for you, your thoughts on De Bruyne?
Well, I can run in and steal his thunder if you want. He's in 27% of teams. So.
That's quite high, isn't it? Wow, that's
high.
Yeah.
Is he in your draft at the moment? Are your thoughts, or are you just?
No, I've not got any City players, but I think he would be my second choice after Diaz. So if budget allowed, then I'd have a look at him. I definitely wouldn't steer people away from him. I probably won't go with him, I don't think.
Okay. Ian has changed position on his camera. He looks a bit stunned at the moment. Hopefully he'll be back. There he is. Hi there, Ian. All right. We lost you for a sec. No, we lost you. But you're back. Yeah. And I
was just saying, De Bruyne is still the fifth most owned player in the game currently.
I'll have a guess. I don't know, about 27%, something like that, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, just about 27%.
Really? Oh, yeah. Wow, that's great. That was a hell of a guess, wasn't it? Wow, fair play.
So somebody let you know that, did they?
Is he?
I bet it was Paul.
Is he in your thoughts, Ian, or?
He is and he isn't. I would like him, but if I'm not going to know he's playing, and I'm probably not going to captain a City player unless it's in the Arsenal game, then I'd rather have the certainty of Bruno, I think.
Yeah, cool. Okay. I think we've got your draft team plan here, Ian. Is that right now?
This is not particularly my draft team plan, but it is a draft team plan.
Well, it's got Antonio in, so it's your draft team plan.
It's good. It's got Antonio in. Yes. So what I did to make a rough plan was to work out who I wanted for captains on the key days, and I put those in straight away. And that's the way I like to play. So Salah was going to be captain for the first 2 games, so he went straight in. And there was an option that Bruno was going to be captain for 2 days, so he went straight in. And then I started looking around at the rest. I knew I wanted to have a City defender, so Diaz went in as the most expensive. And I knew I wanted to have a Liverpool defender, so I put Van Dijk in. If he's not going to play, he's an easy switch to Robertson. There's only 0.1 million in it.
Of course.
And then I looked to start filling the rest of them compared to who I needed for the captaincies. So we definitely need one for Brentford v Arsenal. So I had a look, and Tony was cheap and popular, so he went in. And West Ham v Leicester, as I said earlier, I wanted to have 2 options there. So the 2 best that I could see were Antonio and Tielemans. So they went in. And then it was a case of look at the rest and see what I could afford. Buendia looked reasonably priced for a midfielder at 7.9. So he went in. And then that left me 3 slots to fill, 1 goalkeeper and 2 defenders. So as I said earlier, I wanted a Villa and a Brighton. So looking at the prices of the players, I went for Martinez and Webster. Really like Lewis Dunk, but he is too expensive for this kind of formation. And then the last one I put in was Fofana of Leicester, because they've got reasonable fixtures. He's a cheap price, and he's got some kind of bonus potential as long as he's playing.
Yeah, good show.
And then that all worked out to be 99.9 million, which left me enough if I wanted to do the move on the Sunday of week 2 to put Salah to Harry Kane. So looking at the plan, that gives me Tony as captain against Arsenal for Brentford, Salah as captain for Liverpool against Norwich, Antonio as captain for West Ham against Newcastle, and then Salah again at home to Burnley. And then on the next slide across, move Harry Kane in for Mo Salah for captain at Wolves, as long as he's still at Tottenham, of course. Antonio for captain against Leicester on Monday Night Football. Diaz as captain for Man City against Arsenal, in as much as we can see the team. And then Harry Kane in the 2:00 kickoff for Tottenham against Watford.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is how you play Sky Fantasy Football. Thank you very much, Ian. That is absolutely superb. It's, and it actually looks a really strong team there. I think I'd maybe change a couple around, but in terms of the main kind of 8 or 9 there, there's just no, there's no argument there really. I think, is it? That looks an absolutely superb team and superb plan. But obviously, based on what we know now, and this is important, is there's still 19 days left? Or,
19 days to go.
Injuries or transfers or COVID issues, and all this stuff. Stiggy says, I don't fancy Buendia personally. I'll see how he does pre-overhaul. I'm quite surprised at that. He played in a friendly the other day and he looked very, very good. Boris the Blade, no love for Sadio Mane. I do think that Mane may be slightly overlooked. It's because he's priced, obviously comparatively with Salah, and Salah will be the kind of, highly owned, he's on pens.
Yeah, if somebody fancies Mane over Salah, that's punty as far as I can tell.
Yeah, but I do, I do think that there's a chance. He finished the season well. He scored 2 on the final day, and I saw some quotes from him this week saying, that last season he had some some problems and bits and pieces, but he's ready for it. He's up for it. He can't wait to get started and all this stuff. So he could be a shout there. Paul, what's your thoughts there on kind of Ian's initial plan? That that kind of 11 there. Do you think it's going to be reasonably similar to kind of what you'll do, or not?
Yeah, I think he's got all the bases covered there. Like he said, he's got backup for certain game days that I like having as well, like the second option if a player doesn't start or gets injured. Pick that up there. So yeah, I can't imagine my team being a million miles away from there.
And Dan, yourself, is there anyone who's guaranteed to go in your team who's not in Ian's there, or?
They're all on the short list. Like I said, I'll just keep a short list for now, and just keep, each day something can change, can't it? So, do you know what I mean? I've seen loads that had Van Dijk in it last week, and now no one's got him in at all. So, I'll just keep a short list for now. And but no, I think we're all going to have the same sort of 30 players come the last week of the season on our list. Yeah,
just ones. I've kind of had my eye on different things which haven't been mentioned much so far. No. Paul mentioned Harvey Barnes. He was on fire before he got injured, and he finished the end of the previous season really well. So he could be a really good, exciting option there. I think Sarr from Watford, 7.8 million. I think it's very, very cheap potentially. For what he can do. I think he's obviously really good in the Championship last year, and I believe he's on penalties as well, which could be a pretty good thing. Stones
same price as Buendia then. So if somebody doesn't fancy Buendia, they could put Sarr in instead.
If they fancy maybe Watkins from Villa, they could go for Sarr potentially there for Watford. Stones at 9.2. Kind of mentioned him earlier. I think the thing is you assume he starts and plays. He was away with England, so he may miss the first game or two of the season. Obviously, they got all the way through to the final and lost there, Dan. But Stones could be not he's cheap. He'll probably be a very good, a very popular post-overhaul pick, I would guess. And Maguire the same at Man United. I think United have got really good fixtures. Obviously, Bruno is the captaincy option, but 9.4 million for Maguire, I think is decent price. I like a lot of the Chelsea players. Their fixtures are not good is the thing, but again, maybe more for post-overhaul, but Rudiger for 9 million for me, if he continues as he carried on, looks an absolute steal. So he scored 130 points last season and basically only played half a season, right? So, he looks a real steal at that price. Christensen obviously finished very strongly as well, 8.3. I quite like the look of Jorginho at 8.3. Again, not so much, in kind of the pre-overhaul now, but again, if he continues as he finished, he'll mop up tier 2 passing every single time and probably get, he's on pens as well. And Werner, he surprised me actually. So, he's taken a bit of a dip in price to 10.2 million. He had a dreadful season. I think it's fair to say, he probably underwhelmed everywhere, but he still managed to score 161 points, which, for a dreadful season at that price is actually not that bad. So, if he kicks on and has a decent year, then I think he could be an option again, probably for the post overhaul. But Matip 8.4 if he starts, but you are right, he tends to get injured practically every game he plays, doesn't he? But yeah, just a few other sort of.
There's actually 7 Chelsea players currently over 5% owned.
Aye, isn't it? But they are.
It is.
Well, they are the European the champions, I suppose, aren't they? But
yeah, you've got 8 City, 7 Chelsea and Liverpool, 6 Leeds and Villa. Leeds seems high to me. They haven't got the best of fixtures.
No.
Anybody want to take a pick at the 4 clubs that hasn't got anybody over 5%?
Newcastle? I don't know.
No, they've got 2 actually.
And Norwich.
Norwich have got 1. Palace is definitely right. Yep. Norwich is Gilmore. Newcastle's Sam Maximin and Wilson both over.
Wow.
Burnley.
Watford.
Yeah. Watford, yeah. One more.
Southampton.
No, they've got.
What about Wolves?
Wolves, yeah. Southampton have got 2. Ward-Prowse and Walker-Peters.
Wow. a lot of the picks could be interesting, like because you would guess that a lot of the players who've picked early teams as well are probably more engaged sort of players, aren't you? So some of the ownership levels are quite surprising, but moving on then. So Dan, I've got graphic up now, courtesy of FF Stuff, and it's got the player goals and assists from the 3 teams who came up from the Championship last season. Dan, do you want to run us through them?
Hang on, mate. Let me just load it up here.
Load it up. That means write it down.
Load it up on his pen and paper.
Goals and assists. So Tony, as we spoke about, what has he got here? Hang on. So we got 31 goals, 10 assists last season. That's not bad, is it? Do you know what I mean?
Incredible.
And you think, well, I'll come to him in the bonus points in a minute, but yeah, 41 goals and assists. Timu Pukki, what's he got here? 30 goals and assists. Well, 26 goals, 4 assists, so 30 all in all. Buendia, 15 goals, 15 assists. I'm still cannot believe he's gone to Aston Villa. Absolutely raging about that. What, Aston Villa? Come on. So fuming about that. But Ben Buendia, fantastic play. Been in the Premier. Someone else was saying, how will he adjust to Premier League? Well, he played in the Premier League before when we were there a couple of seasons ago. So, yeah, he's class. They were the main 3, really. Then there's the guy from Brentford. I ain't going to try to say his name. Do you want to pronounce it?
Go on, say it.
Brian,
yeah, Brian.
Brian. So, yeah, 8 goals, 10 assists. Canos, Brentford, 9 goals, 8 assists. So, and then Sarr, what's he? 13 goals, 4 assists. And then Cantwell, he's always been he's all right. 6 goals, 6 assists. Yeah. So that was main. There is more on there, but they were the main ones, really, the top ones. But that's when you look at that for Tony and you think, oh yeah, against that Arsenal sort of defence, I think they even lost to Hibs, didn't they? So they ain't doing, too great late.
We haven't mentioned with Pukki, he's 7.7 million. Any, I know their fixtures are absolutely horrendous,
terrible,
but maybe after overhaul, he could be an option. So the ones standing out there for me, maybe I'm kind of interested in, and maybe it's because of my lack of knowledge of the Championship, which I will put my hands up to. But Tony, obviously, he's got that captaincy day, starts off, amazing price. Buendia at Villa, if he's going to be playing alongside potentially Grealish and Watkins and all those kinds of players, and Villa got really nice opening fixtures. He obviously looks a really good one as well. I do like Sarr as well, particularly if he is on penalties. 7.8, I think he was. Looks really, really cheap. I think it's it from me. Anyone else there, guys? Kind of in looking to be anyone of any interest at all? At the moment, or
for me, it'd be Tony and Buendia, and then look at the others. Maybe one of those players is going to be your cheap enabler post overhaul.
Yeah,
and we might find that out before then.
Well, let's take a look at the bonus points, which is obviously a very, very interesting one, though. So this is the player bonus points based on Sky rules last year for the Championship. Dan, Grant Hanley, my goodness.
Yep. So obviously not from the beginning because their fixtures are terrible. Whether they'll do these numbers in the Premier League again, but yeah, his passing bonus. What did he get? 53 points from passing bonus. Then tackle bonus once. Ben Gibson, another Norwich defender, 47 points from tackle passes. Sorry. Skip, I think I'm not really up to date. I'm not sure whether he stayed at Norwich or gone back to Spurs, but if not, I'm guessing Gilmore will be his replacement. Yeah. He got 47 bonus points, pretty much 50-50 for passes and tackles. So if Gilmore's coming in playing the same sort of position, could you expect them numbers from him? I don't know. I'm asking the question. And then Buendia, a good mix of tackles. He does that's the new problem with him. He does a nasty tackle. Yeah, I've seen him sent off a few times at Norwich. Tackles, shots, not so much for the passing. But when you add in the assist and the goals, and then Pukki for shots, Tony for shots. I was talking about him earlier. 35 points from shot bonus. Again, this is Championship, so it's not going to be exact same for Premier League, is it? But I know people were talking about Brentford, but I think they were just short on. Well, here we go. Pinnock, Brentford. He got 41 points from passing bonus, so I think they're there and thereabouts. Brentford, but again, how are they going to do in the Premier League? But there's a couple of Pontus Janssen as well. Oh no, they've signed a new guy, aren't they, from Celtic, who I think he's close to hitting that passing, but just they're all sort of have a look at, and we'll see from the overhaul.
These are all good players against poor Championship sides, though, aren't they?
Yeah, that's true.
They're going to be poor sides against good Premiership sides, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want too many players from the bottom half of the table in your fantasy team, do you?
No. I think the only thing there that really kind of highlights to me was Buendia in the tackles as well. Or, we were looking at him almost just for, his kind of attacking potential and things, but he had the highest tackle bonus, in the Championship, which if you add that in as well, as well as his propensity for his other ways of scoring, he looks like a bit of a sky all rounder there, doesn't he? The killer will be when we captain him, and as Dan said, he gets that red card, which will be a bit of a killer. But when you have players like Højbjerg and Didi and all this, anyway, you're always kind of running that risk, aren't you, with these like hard tackling midfielders. But Buendia for me looks, I'm even more excited about him now than I was in Sky because of the tackles and Telegraph as well, Paul as well. Now I think
Yeah.
Any other observations there, Dan? Are you excited about anyone based on the numbers we've just seen?
Tony for the goals and shots bonus he could potentially get. I say just to have him in before the overhaul. I don't know after that. You only need him to do something against Arsenal, don't you? They've got bad games, are they? I know we have talked about it, but I forgot now because I'm knackered. So yeah, Arsenal, Palace and Villa. We could get a goal or do something in those, couldn't he? I don't know how Palace are going to be this season, and Villa, probably won't. But I don't know if he gets a goal against Arsenal. It's probably justified having him in.
Yeah. Paul, how about yourself?
I can't really add anything to what the guys have already said, I don't think.
Superb. Okay, so moving on then, and Paul has given us a few options in terms of some defensive budget options. Paul, do you want to run through them?
Yeah, so I've seen two questions on Twitter that came on the back of the announcement of the pod for tonight. One was about budget enablers, and the other being block defences pre-overhaul. A couple of seasons back, remember when they first introduced the overhaul? It was the first season Huddersfield had been promoted.
Yeah.
And they kept 3 clean sheets in their first 4 games, which nobody expected at all. If I was, and this might be answering a third question that came through on Twitter as well, if I was wanting to do something different with a second team, knowing that if I didn't get off to a good start, I would bin it and tuck it away and then just concentrate on my first team. This might be a good opportunity to do that if somebody wants something low maintenance. So I thought I'd pick out four teams in particular to see if they could be the next Huddersfield or if they're a good mid-table team with good fixtures. So I've looked at Brentford and Watford. So you can see top left corner there's Brentford. So you've got David Raya in goals. He's 6.3. Brentford tend to set up a back 3, which I think will be now they've signed Ayer from Celtic. He's 6.3. He's really, really slow, by the way. I think I can't see them going to 4 at the back with him playing. I think he needs almost the full back and the covering centre halves there. Janssen and Pontus Janssen, so who they signed from Leeds, and Pinnock would be the back 3. So that's 6.3, 6.2, and 6.1. The left wing backs noted as a midfielder, I think, for Brentford. So it's just Rasmussen who plays right fullback, who's 5.8. So there's options there. Watford, who interests me a little bit more, since the 2 centre halves have played together towards the end of last season, so that was 19 games, they kept 12 clean sheets.
Wow.
Which I think, even in the Championship, I think it's a relatively decent return. So you've got Bachmann in goals, who, for those that played Euros Fantasy, he was the Austria keeper. He's 6.3. The 2 centre halves are Serralta and Trust Ekong. So Serralta's got more of an attacking threat. He's 6 million, does like a booking. And you've got Trust Ekong, who is Nigerian. He's 5.5 million and looks to be in the first choice there as well. So 5.5 starting defender might be an option. Their fixtures are okay. It's Villa at home, Brighton away, and then Spurs away. Kiko Femenia, right fullback, is 6.3, and then Messina at left full back who's less attacking, but he's only 5.6 as well. So we've got another budget option there for Watford.
Wow.
Looking at 2 mid-table options, like maybe I'm doing disrespect to Villa, like they did well last season, calling them mid-table. Not the elite defenders, but that kind of next bracket down. Martinez 7.2, Cash at 8 million, Mings 7.8 million, Cons are 7.5, and Target 7.9. I can't see anyone displacing anyone there if everyone's fit for the start of the season. As we talked about before, they've got the best defensive run-in for the first 3 games. So for a second team, that could be an option, loading up there and doing a block defence on Villa. And we talked about Brighton as well. So you've got Sanchez in goals, 6.5 million. I've assumed White would have signed for Arsenal at this point.
And Lamptey's injured as well, isn't he, for the start now?
Yeah. That's right, yeah. So I've got Veltman in there, 7.2, Dunk 8.2, Webster 7, Burn 6.9 million. So again, that would free up cash to use elsewhere and could be a good option for a block defence if someone would happily throw it away had they not kept, say, 2 of the clean sheets out the first 3.
Lovely stuff there, Paul. Thank you, and thank you, Dan, for all those promoted stats here as well.
Thanks to FF Stuff for all that.
And
me that out this morning on a Sunday as well. Also, Frank,
he's an absolute star, isn't he?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. We've had reams and reams of questions on Twitter. We've hopefully actually answered a lot of them, but let's try and get through as many as we can on this first one. So the first one from Liam Rayner asking about KDB. I think we answered that. I don't think any of us have got KDB in our start, in our drafts at the moment. He'll probably be a very good option at some point, but at the price point he is in midfield, I think Bruno is probably a bit more nailed on to start into. Sorry, not nailed on to start. He gives more captaincy options. We only see the City team once, don't we? So Bruno is probably the one. So Ronarid9 asks, best Man City option pre-overhaul. So he's currently on Mahrez. I think we were all roughly on Diaz, if anyone at the moment. I think Paul, you said you haven't got one.
Diaz.
At the moment, if it would be Diaz. I think I'll be on Diaz as well, just to start. I think in the 3 games pre-overhaul, I think there's a thing in fantasy, isn't there? You can't win the game after 3 weeks, but you can certainly put yourself on the back foot. So I personally think someone like Mahrez and Torres, these players, they're a bit of like Hail Marys, right? They can score a couple of goals, they can hold massively, they can just as easily not even start. Whereas someone like maybe Diaz, Stones, maybe even someone like Rodri or something like that are just kind of the safer sort of options there. Tom Hartnell.
That's my saying that. I made that up. When you can't win Sky in the first week or in the first 3 weeks, but you can certainly rule yourself out of it. I made that up.
There we go. And last season was a prime example of that, wasn't it? When I think myself, Dan and Paul, we didn't have Salah or Vardy, did we? When Salah scored his hat-trick and Vardy scored those couple of goals.
Trying to knock the podcast on the head, weren't we?
We were ranked like 110k after game week.
Yeah, I was 81,000th, right? I didn't even know that many people played the game until that week. I only thought it was like 2,000 or something.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it.
I didn't know as many people played. That's brilliant. Tom Hartnell, any good cheap enablers you guys have spotted? So we mentioned Ndidi. Paul's obviously just mentioned loads of defence options there. The only other one that I've seen who's really, really cheap, and he's probably not very good, but Moda for Brighton, 5.6 million midfielder. He's one of the cheapest players in the game. He did play the last 4 games for Brighton at the end of last season. Just as a starter, right? But I think we've talked probably a lot of options there. If I could just ask you guys actually, just for maybe kind of one each, one cheap player at the moment you think is your, maybe your best pick at the moment. Ian, of all the players we've mentioned, who is your best cheap player at the moment? How do you think?
I would probably go with your Moda shout then, Andrew.
Cool. Okay. Dan, are you ready?
The only sort of from the start, I don't know if you'd class him as cheap, but Tony 7.9.
Yeah, no, I think it's fair. I think he's cheap in his bracket, isn't he? So, and Paul, anyone from you?
you all know how much I love Romeo, so I think indeed he's a similar Sky player to Romeo. Can pick up passing, can pick up tackling bonus, 7.5 million.
Superb. Yeah. Hard to argue with any of those. Editorial, as it's only 3 weeks until overhaul, should you go heavy on one team? So I think the general advice is probably to have a balanced team and focus on captaincies in your main team, and then maybe on your second team if you want to take a bit of a risk, you can go all in, on Villa or Brighton or kind of whoever else you fancy. I got a question in the chat. Glenn Murray, no love for Lee. We haven't really mentioned any Leeds players at all. I don't think we got any captaincy requirements. Maybe why we haven't. But is there anyone from Leeds? Obviously Rafinha and Bamford and Dallas was obviously the legend last year. I think he's got him in price. Dallas was he something like 7.5 midfielder now?
And they moved him. Yeah, he's dead as a midfielder, I think, isn't he? Well, no, I think he's still all right. He still gets some goals, but obviously when he was a defender, he was so cheap and, getting all the clean sheet points as well. So, no, but I think it's just get like Manchester United first game just don't really do it for me.
Yeah, United away, Everton at home, Burnley away. Better options elsewhere as far as I can tell.
Fair enough.
I think Dallas will still I think Dallas is still good value at 7.5 million in the Sky game because of the tackle bonus and potential passing. But I agree with both Dan and Ian that I'm not thinking about him at all pre-overhaul.
I think as well, he played about half the season at right back as well, remember, so in terms of like attacking returns, if he now plays a full season, in centre midfield, you'd probably see a bit more kind of attacking output as well, maybe. So where he loses his clean sheet value, he may get, a few more goals and things, but...
he likes a yellow card in midfield as well, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. That's a good point. Johnny Stolberg. Everyone's talking about Buendia as an option, but what do yous think about El Ghazi? Played the last 7 games of the season, 100% record from the spot. I don't think he'll play. If Grealish is fit and Buendia is in there now. Any love for El Ghazi? Anyone?
Overlooked him, to be honest.
Yeah. Anyone, gents? No.
I don't. Yeah, with Traore playing Buendia, they'll talk about trying to sign Smith Rowe. So I'm going on the basis that they won't sign him, but they're obviously looking for someone for that position as well. So there's more competition there. It's not someone I'd be looking at.
In Your Dreams asks, would you put any England players that went to the Euros in your starting 11, given their run to the final and now extended break? So we touched on Kane and Shaw. I don't think actually, of all the players we've mentioned, there's probably not that many that we have talked about there who've actually Stones. Sorry, yeah, he's probably a post-overhaul option, but not really many more, who got to the final. For Italy or England, a lot got knocked out in the round of 16 and quarters and stuff. I touched on maybe Maguire, and players like that.
Fixtures are good, yeah.
Yeah, but
I think we should know if they're going to play, though, shouldn't we?
I think so. If they're playing, I think in the final week leading up to it, there's quite a lot of all Premiership friendlies the season before, and you get the Community Shield as well.
Chelsea are playing in the European Knockabout Cup, aren't they?
Yeah, so we'll get some clues. We have got a full pre-season guide on fantasyfootballhub.co.uk. So if anyone wants to know about results, who's playing, who's scoring goals, just go on to fantasyfootballhub.co.uk pre-season guide, and everything you need to know is on there. But I think maybe next week, maybe the week after, then is probably where we'll start to think a little bit more around the real specific plays for our teams. Tom Hartnell, are you planning to make any transfers pre-overhaul? I think it looks pretty easy to build a team with a captain every day. So Ian showed us earlier you can get to the overhaul with a pretty optimal team by just making one transfer. Ian, I think you do have a plan, or you will have a plan for a no transfer team.
On the hub, as a pre-season reveal, a no transfer team.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so we'll know then. But yeah, it looks reasonably.
It's reasonably straightforward from what you can see at first glance, can't it?
And even if it's one transfer, right? I'm sure every single one of us can look back last year, and think, if you're using a transfer early doors for, kind of real upside, or I'm sure
it's captaincies, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure we all made some transfers at some point last year where we kind of, we thought we wasted them. So it's not the end of the world if you use a transfer or two, is it? Boris the Blade says Smith Rowe has signed a new contract at Arsenal. Well, if that's the case, fantastic.
Giving him the number 10 shirt as well.
Yeah, number 10. Yeah.
Wow, that is a big statement there, isn't it? So yeah, he looks really good.
Fixtures are terrible, though, aren't they?
Oh, they are. They are to start. Yeah. Wilson Win says Grealish, yes or no. I would personally just say no, because I think that Watkins and Wendy, if you're going for Villa, are probably better. I own Grealish for times last season, and while he's a fantastic player, from a fantasy perspective, he's maybe not as good as some other players around his bracket. Any arguments there, gents? Or
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
No, fair enough.
No, I'd agree with that.
Cool. Stiggy says Maguire will definitely play. It is hard to argue, right, that he'll play. He seems to play every minute of every game from in every competition, don't he? And he also says definitely subscribing this year, lads. It's a no-brainer. Absolutely, Stiggy. It is a no-brainer right there.
25% off. Click on
25% off. Click a link. I've got all that for later, mate. Don't worry.
Lovely.
Tom Glover, thoughts on block defenses pre-overhaul? Too big a risk, or are there good options out there? So again, we've mentioned maybe a second team. Wouldn't go for it in your first team because you can certainly lose it, but you can't win it in the first 3 weeks. Go for a block.
And the chances are it's still slim.
Yeah. In your dreams, thoughts on Smith Rowe, Diaz, or Stone? So, I think we think that Diaz is probably the best option pre-overhaul. Stones will definitely be a good option post-overhaul. Smith Rowe, we haven't talked about, Smith Rowe as an option. I know we said his fixture's not very good. Any love for Smith Rowe pre-overhaul, gents?
No.
Not for me.
No. Cool. Paul, no?
If I was going on Arsenal midfielder, it'd be Nicholas Pepe, I think.
Pepe, yeah. How much was he? He was a little bit more, wasn't he?
8.6.
8.6, yeah.
Chances of you having an Arsenal midfielder in your team, Paul?
Well, zero. If I was going on Arsenal midfielder, it would be Pepe, I think.
Yeah. Fadsley says, which team should I prioritise? Brentford, Everton, Villa, or West Ham? He says, choose two. You probably need a player from, well, maybe not.
Brentford or West
Everton.
Ham captaincy.
There you go. That's answered. That's answered that one. Superb. FPL heavyweight Sky FF. What's a good strategy for how to use your second team? So hopefully we've answered that. Block defense. Maybe have a bit of fun. The other thing you can do, which a lot of good managers do, is just basically run it alongside your first team, exactly the same.
Same as the first team,
and then maybe kind of split afterwards. So maybe go Salah in one, Mane in the other. If you're really stuck, or something along those lines. They're two kind of really good strategies.
The other thing you could try, if you want to try something different, try and win a monthly prize.
Yeah, that's not a bad.
It's difficult,
well.
but
sorry, Fergi. Being professional, I just need to go and plug my laptop in.
Go on, mate.
Back in a minute.
Fantastic. Boris the Blade says Saka 18% owned, and Pepe only 3% owned, which is quite interesting. And Manchester, Højbjerg and Ward-Prowse worth a shout as pick and sticks, especially overhaul onwards. Can't argue with those. I think
Ward-Prowse was the second highest scoring midfielder last year.
Yeah, he is.
Crazy.
He's a very, very under the radar option. I think he is. Josh Waldridge, who won Fanteam, the 200 grand, said that he had Ward-Prowse in just for his just all season for his team. He never does anything spectacular, but he picks up points basically every single game. He's definitely
like Hoover, isn't he?
He is.
Gets them in.
He's a really good post-overhaul option, I think, as well. Also, Reclose, glad to have you back, lads. Here's to a great season. Any Brighton defenders you consider apart from Dunk? So, I think we mentioned Webster, Veltman finished off well, I think. Anyone else there, guys?
Webster for me.
Yeah.
Just basically on price.
Yeah. Kane or no Kane. I mean, John Maloney.
Either.
But on Sunday the 22nd, if he's still at Spurs, there's a nice switch over Salah to Kane, isn't there, on that day there. And we flipped about. We flipped about on the cameras for some reason. Dan's messing around now. Tom P. Best formation to start the season, and is Diaz a must own? So no, don't think anyone's a must own. Best formation to start the season. I think I'm on a 4-3-3 at the moment. You guys
anything with three midfielders?
Yeah. How about you, Paul?
I'm on 4-3-3, but I wouldn't argue anyone that went 5-3-2.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think again, I think that really cheap third striker spot, that you need for captaincy is into for Tony, for example. It makes it reasonably easy. But I would just say to everyone, just make sure that you leave yourself with the flexibility that you don't pigeonhole yourself into formation that you can't get out of, which I'm sure we've all done. We've all done in the past, because I know, Paul, your pet hate, isn't it, is having to make 2 transfers just to get your one player and you really want, which again we've probably all done in the past.
So I use Ian's planner.
Absolutely. Sean Taylor asks about the Leicester defence. Are they worth a shout for the first 3 games? We mentioned Fofana. I think there's a lot of unknowns. You said there,
cheap.
Yeah. Paul,
my concern, just like I mentioned earlier, is that they've got 5 really good fullbacks now. Now that Barnes and Daka, they've signed Daka, and now that Barnes is fit, are they going to go back to 3 up front, which would then mean a 4 at the back, which then means Soyuncu, Fofana, or Evans drops out?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not that well informed about Leicester team, but just a concern about someone dropping out in all those positions makes me think of more of a wait and see from that perspective.
I think there's enough options around the price point that you don't need to take a risk there, do you, I suppose? Yeah,
you've got the Villa players, and you've got the Brighton players, and you've got the West Ham players. All 3 of those clubs have good fixtures, and that's the same price point.
Lee Williams, with Van Dijk looking less likely to start the season, is a Robbo and Konate double up the way to go? So we kind of touched on this earlier briefly and just said that, the fact that VVD isn't playing, does that make Liverpool as a whole a bit more kind of, fragile in terms of defence? But answering the question, Dan, what do you think about Robertson and Konate? I think that Konate is something 8.5 or something?
8.8.
8.8.
Can you hear me all right? I've had to go on to the other mic.
Oh, you're all right, mate. Yeah, we can.
So before, they're all right. I'm just not sure on them and how Liverpool are going to be, but at the price, that's probably worth it for 3 games. I just don't know, mate. I honestly don't know. Liverpool ain't made my mind up.
Okay, Ian, anything on Liverpool?
Yeah, I'd like one. I'd want either Trent or Robbo. I think Trent, better option. It's obviously more expensive, but if anybody's going to get the attacking returns, you think it's probably going to be him.
Yeah.
I'd fancy him for a clean sheet, possibly 2 as well in the first 3.
Okay,
but nothing's guaranteed, is it?
I noticed Alisson is only 7.8 as well. So if you do think they may get a clean sheet or 2, and you go for Dunk over Sanchez, example, as a Brighton defender, then you could maybe pick up a 9 pointers off Alisson for quite cheap there at 7.8. Paul, anything else on Liverpool defence?
Just again what the guys have said already. Covers it off quite well.
Awesome. Okay. Matt Lown says Stones or Watkins. I think probably Stones may not play because they've got the other options, haven't they, with Laporte and Ake as well. So probably Watkins there, Matt, over the 2. And Benny Blanco, who Ian and I met last night for the first time. I didn't realise he's a Scouser as well. I had no idea he's a Scouser. But he says, why did Dan stand me up on our first date? Why, Dan? Why? He wants to know, Dan, why you didn't come to the meetup last night.
I messaged him why. He knows. My son had a tournament. He's been scouted by Norwich, so he had a tournament today. So I had to take him to that, and I couldn't be hungover. And that was it basically.
Can't
How
argue
did he
that,
play?
mate. Can't argue.
Yeah, he done all right. His team did all right. He got a goal and all that. And they won some games, and it was good. Yeah, good. Yeah, they had a couple of good wins, but he decided he don't want to go to the Norwich PDC. So I told him Norwich want you to go and play for their development centre. And he said, "Oh, what about Liverpool, Man City?" I said, "Oh, well, just Norwich of us for now." And he was like, Do you know what I mean? So I was like, all right, he snubbed him. So he's going to carry on with his little team, and I ain't going to send him. So that's that.
It's cheap if you, mate, anyway.
Oh, 400 quid.
Yeah. Phil Speck just quickly says, and Leicester have Bertrand now as well, don't they? That's right. And Glenn Murray, it was Fofana and Soyuncu played in a friendly today, which was, but again, there's a couple more games before, isn't there? So, Dan, what's upset you this summer?
Oh, mate. Been well annoyed. I've got loads of stuff, right? I've probably got about an hour's worth of stuff, but I'll be quick, yeah.
Save some for next week.
I'm going to have to, mate. And is the microphone all right? Yeah,
it's fine, yeah.
Built in because I'm running out of battery.
You're all right.
Out here longer than expected. Do you know what annoyed me, right? So you won Sun, and that's great. That's fantastic, right? Do you know what made me sick, though, right? All the people on Twitter, couldn't it happen to a nicer guy? I think, hang on, when I won Sky, I just got like, well done, congrats. I think it couldn't happen to the best, the nicest guy in fantasy. I'm thinking, what? You don't know him how we know him. Do you know what I mean, right?
Off the mic, it's like, boys, what are you doing? What the hell are you doing?
So before we come on here, right, we have a pre-production meeting because we're professionals, yeah? Fergie says, come on at 2:45. You rock on at 9:50. God, he goes mad. And when I am here early, right, you'll hear him. He'll be like, Linda, bring me a rhubarb gin. And then he'll be shouting at the kids, Dexter, Hunter, keep the bloody noise down, you bastards. Like, he's, he goes to restaurants, he don't leave a tip. He started on the list at that time, Then I see, they're nice. I think, hang on, what's going on here? But no, seriously, he is a nice guy. Don't think he's been paid yet, but he's a great guy. And then what annoyed me as well, actually, before I go with the bad, I'll go with the good. I'd like to thank Liam, who's on, Liam Rayner. He got me an England shirt for all the help that I wore when we won the final. So brilliant. And Darren, can you remember I said about my son wanted an England shirt and I was not paying 50 quid? Darren, he had like the two teams right up there, he actually bought my son a shirt. So thanks to him. It's all right, innit?
Flipping heck.
Done all right.
We have done all right, overall.
Back to the bad, right? Sky Fantasy, you've annoyed me, especially the Twitter. Right. So I was looking through, I don't know why, but I was like looking through for a Crystal Palace player. And I thought, hang on, they ain't listed any Crystal Palace players. They just not priced them up. They've put Crystal Palace down as Palace, and they're now below Norwich, like in the P. Saints are now Soton. Tottenham are down as Spurs, and Aston Villa are down as Villa. You have to go like right down to Villa.
I noticed that, yeah.
Like, what is going on? And then
my plan has got them the right way around, Dan. Don't worry about it.
Excellent stuff. I just think, what lazy bastards. And then on Friday, they tweeted out, Sancho, before we tell you his price, hit the like if he's going straight in your team. It's like, well, no, don't work like that. You need to tell us how much he is first, if he's midfielder and a forward. And they sort of tweet out like Friday morning, like, oh, we're going to let you know. They still don't tweet out how much he is. You had to find it yourself on the app, didn't you? Lazy bastards. Finished for the weekend, gone home. So that has annoyed me. Sky Bet annoyed me as well, right? Do you see that? I put a bet on there being over 4,000 corners next season.
Yeah.
500 to 1. I stuck a fiver on it. $2,500. They changed the odds. Do you know what they changed it to?
Was it like even money or something stupid like that?
Evens. Took it down from 500 to 1 to
What's
evens.
your cash out? Is your cash out 1,250?
Yeah.
That's it. That's the 5. I get a £10 back. I sort of emailed. I'm like, why the bloody hell would I want to put £5 on to win £10 and you hold the money for the season? They were like, do you want your fiver back? It's like, yes. Or we'll give you a £5 free credit. I'm like, cheers. Do you know what I mean? I know it was wrong because I'm thinking, well, that's only about 10 corners on average a game, innit? So that's got a good chance of coming in. And they're like, oh, technical error. I was like, the technical erwer is this.
They've got the intern putting the odds out for that, I think.
That's what the technical error was. So that annoyed me. We're going to do a podcast league again for us and have a trophy. I sent it to Liam, right? Gutted, he won it on the last day. I was more gutted I had to pay to send it to Ireland. It cost me £10 to send it.
That was a technicality as well. Should have been sending it to England, mate.
Oh no, fuming. If I win it, I don't want it because I don't want to send it on again to someone. And when I sent it to him, right, I literally just put Liam Dorry in Ireland. They don't have postcodes, street name, nothing like that. You literally just send it, Liam Dorry in Ireland, and that'll get to him. Bad, isn't it? No postcodes or anything like that. I think that's about it. I was going to say, I was at that tournament today with my son. Yeah, come along. 6 hours I was there in a field. 6 hours. And some of the kids, right, when they're playing the other teams, so yeah, you're watching it, and they're under 7s, so my boy is small for his age. You look at him like, he's about 10 stone. He's got a tash. It's like, is he under 7? Like, something going on here. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, that was that. I had some more, but I'll save them for next week. So it's getting late and I'm getting tired.
It is, mate. Thank you for that. I think Ian's the comment about the technicality is Ian will obviously be in our podcast league this season, won't you, Ian? So
Hopefully
he would have won it if he was in it. So Dan, make sure you send Ian the code as well.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Would have cost me a tenner because I saved a tenner.
My only rant was last night when I was on the way home from the meetup, or on the way back to the hotel. Is I asked for a quarter pounder burger. This is about like 1 a.m. So I asked for a quarter pounder. And normally when I go and ask for like a burger, they'll ask me what I want on the burger. Do you want, whatever, like lettuce, tomato, what sauces, do you want, whatever else. But they never with this. When they just packed up something and gave me it, chucked it in a bag, and kicked me out. So I was walking along the streets of London, kind of by myself, and I pulled this burger out. And I'm not really a massive fan of like salad and things. And they literally put like half a lettuce in my burger. I don't like lettuce, like really. And they put so much lettuce in. It was like a quarter pound of lettuce. And because I'm walking on the streets of London, I'm not going to just chuck lettuce everywhere. I'm also not going to stand at a bin and pick out lettuce into the bin. So I ended up having like a beef flavored lettuce sandwich on the way home. I don't even like lettuce, so that's just my rant for the evening. That was disappointing, but other than that, everything was absolutely fantastic. We've gone on and on this evening, lads. I think we might have hit almost a new record for the amount of time. There's us. It's going to be a short one to kick off with.
We have one bit of further business as well, Andrew.
Oh yeah, you go on.
Yeah, I lost a bet to Paul in the last game week of last season.
Fantastic.
On Bruno's points, and the honours were whoever loses down to Pint. So, cheers.
So for those listening now on the podcast, Ian is necking. Well, he has necked. That was very, very quick, actually. Ian has just necked a pint. Wow, Ian, that was impressive.
That was a treat. That went to bet.
I think I can drink, and I would have done that in instalments.
Great work, Ian. Well done. And Glenn Murray says that was just the tip of the iceberg, Fergie, in reference to my lettuce sandwich. Very good there, Glenn. Superb. Okay, I think it's about time we let everyone go after a late evening. But thank you so much, as usual, everyone, for joining us, supporting with us, interacting with us on this stream this evening. We hope I've certainly got some food for thought. Thank you so much, Ian. For all your insight. Hopefully, it's helped everyone. Give everyone a bit of ideas on what to kind of think about when setting up your initial team, how to navigate the fixtures, captaincy, and things. It certainly helped me. Got a couple of bits to do just before we go. So, firstly, the 2021 Football Content Awards nominations are now open for this year. So if you enjoy our podcast and site content and could spare 2 minutes of your time, we'd very much appreciate it if you could nominate this podcast in the best fantasy football podcast category, and also for Fantasy Football Hub in the best editorial category. So the link for this is in the description below. For podcast listeners, the link is footballcontentawards.com/voting. So, if anyone, who listens to us regularly would like to nominate us, we would very, very much appreciate it. If you still haven't signed up to Fantasy Football Hub as a member, what are you doing? There's a pre-season 25% discount link in the description below too. Members get a copy of Ian's planner, Dan's Sky Tips each week, Dan, Liam, and my Game Week 1 actual team reveal will be on site for Hub members. Ian will also be doing a member reveal on how to get through it without using any transfers. You get to use all our tools, including Opta-Stat, have dedicated Sky Stats, our comparison tools, just masses and masses of fantasy football content, and basically everything you could ever need to become a better fantasy football manager and win your mini leagues. We also have premium membership, which includes being in a WhatsApp group with like-minded Sky players. It also includes Dan, Paul, Ian, Liam, myself, and many, many other top players to bounce your ideas off every single day. They are
I'll need
packed.
to ask to get back in.
What's that? Sorry?
I'll need to ask to
You
get
need to
back
ask
in.
it back. I'm the same
after
as you.
leaving in a huff.
Paul left the WhatsApp group in a huff over the summer because someone made a comment about England are going to hammer Scotland, and Paul left. So he'll be back. I'll be coming back in as well after my summer hiatus from fantasy. But honestly, the discount of 25% applies to that as well. There is there's a number of groups, about 50 odd Sky managers in each group. All they do all day is talk Sky fantasy. Very, very.
The WhatsApp's good as well, because that's like on a Saturday when if I don't know, you just I'm going to captain him. That's the quickest way to let everyone know what you're doing, sort of thing. And I really like it. It really helps me as well.
Absolutely, thank you, Dan. Don't forget, next week our special guest, Mark Edworthy. Very, very excited to have Mark on. He was actually the first person I ever went on a podcast with. So I went on Mark's one years ago, and Dan and Paul and Ian, have you been on Mark's one in the past?
No, I don't think I have.
I know that Paul and Dan were regulars, weren't you? So he really, really knows his stuff. Fantastic guy, fantastic manager. Dan, where can people find you?
Twitter. I changed it today. So Twitter, Dan Cox _FFH.
Boom. Get in there, Dan. Good
People
stuff.
can work out how old I am, can I, when they're the old one? So I'm like, God.
They could. Paul, where can we find you?
Twitter at Paul McAnulty 1 MCANULTY.
Superb. And Ian, where can we find you?
I do the planners on the hub, so you find me there doing the Sky one, the Telegraph one. That's going to be finalised tomorrow, and then the Sun Dream Team one already done, just needs to be uploaded. Give that a check tomorrow and put that up. And then you can find me on Twitter at PlanItSky.
Superb. And again, thank you so much, Ian. We will definitely have you on for our overhaul special when we look ahead. That's when the real fun begins, don't it?
Yeah, we'll know some October fixtures by then, and we'll have a bit of a guesswork for November and December.
Superbly. Thank you so much again for sparing your time with us this evening. My Twitter handle is at FFH_Fergi. So this podcast and video will be on the Fantasy Football Hub, Sky and TFF YouTube channel, and also available in all major podcast platforms. If you liked what you watched, please click the like button and remember to subscribe in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. If you enjoyed your listen, please rate the podcast versions, leave a comment, give us 5 stars, all these little things that we request. They really, really help us. So if you could, it would be much appreciated. At least, leave some comments too if you can spare a minute. Our handles on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok are at FFH_HQ, and our podcast Twitter handle is at FFH_Sky. So please follow if you don't already, and feel free to ask any questions at any time. Our website is fantasyfootballhub.co.uk, where you'll find everything you will ever need for fantasy football all under one roof, including player comparison tools, the fixture ticker, Opta-stats, top player team reveals, much, much more. Thank you, Phil. He's just done the vote. So did a couple of other guys above. Thank you so much, gents. We really, really appreciate that. We'll be back at 9 p.m. next Sunday evening with the one and only Mark Edworthy. You will not want to miss it. Stay safe and good night all.